everybody, and welcome back to Aamsuntitledpodcast. I'm Am. Hi, if you've never met me before, it's really nice to meet you. Welcome to my Percy Jackson dedicated podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be moving on to Heroes of Olympus. Starting with Lost Hero, we are going to be chatting through the first 7 chapters in the book. So, if you don't know how this works, or if you're new to my podcast, basically, I give you a sort of rundown of everything big that goes in the chapter and just sort of comment on it, any references to previous PJO books that I can make, that sort of thing. I just wanted to apologize for there not being an upload last week. Um, the week kind of got a little bit ahead of me. Um, let's just say before I knew it, it was Friday and the podcast hadn't gone up, and I was like literally drowning in uni work and physically going to work. And I just don't think I was in the right mental health space to do anything because my anxiety was so bad. I think because I was a little bit too overstimulated. So yeah, it didn't go up. So I'm really sorry about that, but I will try my best to make it up to you guys. Yeah, that's enough about me, actually. Let's move on. That's not what you guys come here to listen to. You come here to listen to me chat about the book. So let's do it. So, Lost Hero. So, chapter 1 is Jason. Now, I remember opening the book for the first time and being like, who is Jason? Because obviously, like, we never met him before, and it was the start of a new series, and I was really excited. And I opened the book and I saw his name, and I was like, oh, who's this? Like, I was kind of a little bit disappointed, I'm not gonna lie, because I was like, oh, where's Percy? Yeah, like I said, and something that you'll learn about me when we're talking about this series is nobody replaces my love for Percy. So, like, when I'm talking about other guy characters, it's just not the same. But anyway, the chapter opens up with Jason waking up in a bus and a girl is watching over him. Um, and he doesn't know where he is, he doesn't know how he got there, he's basically lost his memory. And that is when we meet Coach Hedge, and he says that he has taken them on a trip to the Grand Canyon. um, and as Jason and the girl are talking, we meet Leo, and Leo claims that he's Jason's best friend, but he clearly has amnesia. Jason has no idea who any of these people are. He doesn't even know how he got on this bus. Um, Piper is so confused. Obviously, she's wondering why her friend can't recognize her and Leo, and Leo tries his best to explain everything, but it's really not going very well. Um, and there's another guy on the bus called Dylan, and he offers to work with Piper, but she shuts him down almost immediately. So we're kind of seeing where this is going a little bit. There's going to be a bit of a thing between Jason and this mystery girl called Piper, and of course Leo, who's going to be there as the third wheel. So pretty much the same sort of setup that we had in the first 5 books, which was Percy, Grover, and Annabeth, basically. So some girls start picking on Piper, but luckily Coach Hedge intervenes to stop that. Piper is an amazing girl, and the more that we talk about her, I hope you guys come to love her as much as I do, because I think that she's incredible and she's a badass. And yeah, I can't wait for you guys to hear more about her, basically. Jason says that he can't remember Piper's dad, and Leo refers to Piper as Jason's girlfriend. Now, I bet that must be so confusing for him because he can't remember his best friend. He supposedly has a girlfriend. He doesn't know where he is. Like, I can imagine how he must be feeling, and it's quite overwhelming for him, I think. And you can instantly tell that these books are set up like completely different to the first 5. Like the first 5 books kind of got darker to a certain extent. I think after Titan's Curse, it got dark, but with Heroes of Olympus, it's very ominous right from the beginning. And obviously, we're meeting new characters and new storylines, and we're learning new things. So yeah, it was quite um, what's the word I'm looking for here? Yeah, it was very new, is what I'm saying, and it was dark and it was ominous and it was a little scary. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah. So they end up at the Grand Canyon, and sorry, minor interruption there. What was I talking about? Yeah. So they end up at the Grand Canyon, and there's a storm sort of hovering over it. And the bit that I noted when I was reading was that Rick keeps talking about Jason getting these headaches, like he's continuously getting these really, really painful headaches. And it just made me think that, oh yeah, like I wonder who his godly parent is, because I kind of already clicked that he was going to be a demigod. So I was like, I'm interested to see how he is different from Percy. But yeah, Anyway, Jason goes up to Coach Hedge and he tells him that he hasn't seen him before. And the coach thinks that he's a monster. So, in other words, he's talking about Dylan, basically. And it's this whole like idea that something's just not right, and like you feel that uneasiness throughout the chapter. Like it's not just at the beginning, you feel it all the way through, which is so it's so cool the way Rick does it. Like I have no idea how he does it, but like he really gives me an epiphany. Like he makes me think, and that's what I love about his writing so much. Coach Hedge tells him about the message he received from camp, but Jason is absolutely clueless. He's like, "What?" And as soon as like Coach Hedge mentioned camp, like the only thing I could think of was Camp Half Blood. I was like, "Yeah, he's definitely a demigod," and I bet that he is a child of one of the major gods. But anyway, we'll see. And the chapter ends with Coach telling him that all the students need to get off the sidewalk because it isn't safe. Now, again, it's that whole like leaving you on edge, a cliffhanger sort of vibe. I love it. Chapter two is Jason's point of view again, and it opens with the storm changing into a mini hurricane. And obviously, Jason, Piper, Leo, Coach, they're all in the eye of the storm, and Jason saves Leo from falling, but while Piper and Dylan were holding the doors open, basically. And as the door slams shut, Dylan pushes Piper off the side, basically, and Jason tries to save her, but Coach stops him. Um, Coach knows who the monster is, and it's Dylan, so he charges at him with his baseball bat. Um, Dylan tosses Leo aside, and Coach helps him using his bat. Jason thinks that he's that Coach Hedge is a fawn, but in fact he's not. He's a satyr. Oh come on, Jason, you should know that. There's a bit of a difference between a fawn and a satyr, but okay. Dylan hits Jason on the head with the club, and Dylan changes form, and Jason realizes that he's in fact Storm Spirit. Now, again, it's like a different sort of um monster. Like it's not an unconventional one that we've seen before. So yeah, like I said, like from the beginning, these books just feel very different and very more like grown up, basically. Um, Dylan claims that his mistress is calling him. He tries to grab Jason, but Piper attacks him from behind. What a queen. What an actual queen. Like, I love that girl. She's amazing. Dylan grabs Leo, and Piper, both of them basically, and Coach tells Jason to go and save them, which is a bit ironic considering Jason doesn't know about his demigod abilities, but okay. Coach manages to save Leo, but tells Jason to go after Piper, and he jumps off the side of the bridge and grabs Piper. And then it's revealed that they're both flying and they fly up to meet Leo. Now, the fact that Jason can fly kind of threw me off a little bit because obviously I've never seen a demigod that can fly. So I was just like, oh, that's interesting. Like, Rick has really put a lot of different details and he's tried to make Jason so different from Percy, I guess. So we don't compare the two. I'm still going to compare the two because obviously I'm biased and I love Percy more. But yeah, I just thought that that was really interesting that he could fly. The storm eventually dissipates, and Jason realizes that um, he's a demigod basically, and that Coach Hedge is the Satyr protector, so the sworn protector, to bring Leo, Piper, and Jason back to camp safely. As they look up to the sky, they see a Pegasus coming towards them, and two teens get off the chariot. And guess who it is? It's Butch and Annabeth. Oh my girl, Annabeth. You know what? I was so relieved, like when I heard her name, because it was so nice to have somebody who I already know. Like it's really hard to like get invested in a story with new characters straight away. Like sometimes you don't click with them straight away. Like I was really lucky when I read Percy for the first time. Like I immediately connected to him, but this took a little bit longer for me. Like I said, I might be biased because I obviously love Percy the most. But yeah, it was nice to see Annabeth. It was nice to have a familiar face, is what I'm trying to say. Um, Butch points out that Jason is only wearing one shoe, and he says that the best thing to do is to take them to camp. And plot twist that honestly had me on the edge of my seat and wanted me to keep reading more was the bit where Butch reveals that Annabeth has been searching for Percy because he's gone missing. I was like, oh. I was like, oh my god, my Percybeth heart can't take it. Like, where's Percy gone? Is he in danger? Is he safe? Like, all the overthinking questions started running through my mind. But I guess that from there you guys can see that. I'm pretty sure I wasn't the only one who had that reaction, but okay. Chapter 33 is written from Piper's perspective. So it opens with them riding on the chariot, and it's revealed that Piper has wanted to be more than friends with Jason for a while, but they're not actually girlfriend and boyfriend. Leo is just sort of made that up, in other words, to confuse Jason. And it's this idea, like, she's been saying that she's been hearing like voices in her dreams. So kind of how like Percy used to get them at the beginning, where he could feel um Kronos talking to him. I feel like she's getting the same sort of thing coming to her. And again, it's another big hint that she's a demigod as well. Annabeth reveals that she's taking them to Camp Half Blood and that she is the daughter of Athena and Butch is the son of Iris. Now, you know what I really liked about this chapter is like we got to meet a child of another god and goddess. Like, obviously, it's really nice, like, with the campers that we've met so far. Like, they've been all great characters, but I don't think we've ever had a son of Iris before. So it's so nice to meet Butch, who's obviously a son of Iris, and it's just a little bit different to the other demigods. And obviously, Leo is picking on Butch by making snarky remarks. And let's say it nearly gets to the point where Butch wants to throw him out of the chariot. So, you know, the chariot eventually ends up crashing into the lake and they all end up underwater. Um, Annabeth asks Will if there's been any news about Percy while she's been gone, and she says that not to worry, that she will fix the chariot. Oh, Rick, what have you done? Honestly, that's all I could think about the whole way through. I was like, where's Percy? Like, I hope that he's okay. And do you know what? It was so hard for me because I was just like, I've been waiting so long for Annabeth and Percy to get together, and now they were split up again. Like, honestly, I felt like Rick was purposely trying to make my heart hurt. I was like, why are you doing this to me? And it's revealed that none of them had been claimed yet, so they didn't know who their godly parents were, basically. Drew, who is a new character, she's head counselor of the Aphrodite cabin, and let's just say she's not the nicest girl, but you know we'll come back to that. She asks Annabeth if the demigods were worth saving, and Annabeth says that they were. So yeah, you see, do you know what? This is what I love so much about Annabeth, and one quality of hers that I think gets overlooked, and I think it's a quality that she's learned from Percy, which is like she's learned to see potential in people, like the same way like when she met Percy for the first time, like she saw that he was someone special. And even before anyone else, like the first thing that you hear her say in the book is he's the one, he must be. And I think that's exactly how Annabeth feels about Leo, Jason and Piper. Like she knows that they're special and they're here for a reason, basically. um, Piper obviously has a disagreement with Drew, and Annabeth somehow manages to split them up. Yeah, the whole Piper and Drew rivalry goes on throughout the book, so we'll be talking more about that when we get a bit further in the book, I guess. And the one of the best things that happened in the chapter was Leo getting claimed by Hephaestus. And obviously, everybody around is so shocked, like, oh my god, it's another son of Hephaestus. But Piper isn't quite sure what claimed means. Bless her. She doesn't know anything about this world. And I think the idea that you've just been claimed by a dad you didn't know existed kind of threw her off a little bit. But yeah, I can completely understand why. Um, Leo says he doesn't know who Hephaestus is, and Will says that let me take you to cabin 9. So like I said, like Jason, Leo and Piper, they've all been kept out of this world, so it must be a shock and a half to realize that you have an Olympian parent. I can imagine that's not an easy pill to swallow. And yeah, we'll see how they cope with being claimed. Annabeth asks Jason to show her his tattoo, and Annabeth asks him to take um asks Drew to take him to Chiron. Now this is pretty cool because when Jason shows up, like he's not a favorite character of mine, but this tattoo thing is pretty sick. Like he's is he the same age as Percy or is he younger? I can't remember. Something along those lines. And the fact that he has a tattoo, like that just makes him stand out like above anyone else. I don't think anybody really expected him to have that. And I think it's even puzzled Annabeth because she's thinking like, where's he got this tattoo from? Like he wouldn't just randomly have it. And I think the best thing that she can do is ask Chiron. And honestly, like I was wondering what sort of explanation Chiron is going to come up with for this. And the chapter ends with Annabeth offering to give Piper a tour of Camp Half Blood. Again, those two are going to be such good friends. Like honestly, just badass, like absolutely badass together. But we'll come more to that in future books. So chapter 4 is again Piper's point of view, and it opens up with Annabeth giving Piper a tour of Camp Half Blood. And Piper realizes that the reason that she's at camp is because her mother is a goddess. Because obviously her dad, I don't know if it's been revealed yet, but I'm just going to tell you, her dad is a famous movie star, and she's never known her mother. So now Annabeth is sort of helping her to make this connection that her mother is in fact a goddess. Um, Annabeth tells Piper that she'll be claimed soon and that Coach is a satyr. So basically, Annabeth sort of gives her, like, she sort of explains to her what being claimed means. So it means that obviously you have a mortal parent, but you're also a demigod, which means that your mom or dad is an Olympian. In Piper's case, of course, her mother is an Olympian. Piper tells her that she's been kicked out of 5 schools, and Annabeth sort of mentions Percy, but she stops. This must be so hard for her. Like, I can't imagine what she must be thinking. Like, it's almost like she saved 3 people, but it's almost as if she's had to sacrifice her boyfriend because of it. And I know that's not the reason behind it, but that's all I could think about, like how Annabeth must be feeling, you know. I'm sure she would want to introduce these new demigods like to her boyfriend Percy, who's probably had it the hardest out of any demigod child. Like if anybody could sympathize with them, it would be him, and the fact that he's not there makes it so hard for her. And I can't possibly imagine what she must be thinking. And it was really hard for me to just read that. Like it honestly like choked me a little bit because I was like, oh, she must be. Sorry about that, guys. Got interrupted. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Piper and Annabeth, and obviously, yeah, mentioning Percy was must have been so difficult for her. Like I can't possibly imagine how she must have been feeling. And Piper sort of opens up to Annabeth about her dad, and in a way, like Piper and Annabeth have something in common. Like their dads, obviously, Annabeth's dad neglected her for his new family, um, and you know Piper's dad is basically the same, except he doesn't have a new family. It's just that his career is top priority, and that maybe Piper isn't the top of that list, and that's something that she struggles with. So again, they have this, um it's not a very nice thing to have in common, but yeah, sorry, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Piper and Annabeth, like they already are bonding, like they've already crossed this barrier, and they've opened up about something. Well, Piper's opened up to her about something that maybe she wouldn't just share with people. So it's nice that she's got that relationship with Annabeth, and like I said, they make an amazing duo, and I can't wait to share all the great stuff that they do together in these books because it's honestly amazing. Um, Annabeth takes Piper to the cave, and Piper mentions Percy, and she freezes. Now, you know, like I said, like it's already probably hard enough for Annabeth as it is that Percy isn't there, and the fact that people keep bringing it up probably doesn't help. But you know, the brave girl that Annabeth is, she just talks about the last time she saw Percy and how she just lost him. Really, he just disappeared, and she doesn't know where he is. And Piper talks about the complicated relationship that she shares with Jason, and Annabeth thinks that Jason might be manipulating her. Well, well, let's not even go there. I don't like Jason, guys. You probably know. Like, do you know what? The way I was so passionate about Percival moments, like, I'm never that passionate when I talk about Piper and Jason. Like, just because I don't like Jason, like, as much as I love Piper, like, I just can't get excited about their relationship. So I'm sorry about that in advance. Um, Annabeth takes her round to the cabins and gives her a weapon, and it's a knife. Now, I think that's so cool. Like, both her and Annabeth have knives as weapons. I just thought that's awesome. And, like, it's almost like, you know, how Luke gave her dagger? Like, it's almost like Annabeth is doing that for Piper now. So it's like instead of Luke being her older brother that protects her, Annabeth's now like the older sister that's protecting Piper and giving her first weapon. I just thought that that moment was really significant and really cute, and I loved it, and I thought it was great. And Rick never ever fails to create moments that truly stay with you. Um, yeah, Piper tries to ring her dad, but then she realizes that the lady that she's speaking to, so basically, I think she's his secretary, and they're saying that they don't know where he is, basically. So he's taken off and he's not there anymore. And again, that's really sus as well. Like, Piper's dad becomes really important in this book. And the more that he gets mentioned, the more you guys will realize how high the stakes actually are for him. And yeah, he contributes a lot to Piper's growth in this book, but again, we'll talk more about that when we get there. Annabeth shows her to the other cabins and tells her about the oath of the big three. So basically, if you guys don't remember, if you're new to the Percy Jackson series, so a long time ago, the big three, so Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades made um pact that their demigod children were becoming too powerful. So to stop that, they all decided and collectively swore that they wouldn't father any more demigod children. Obviously, that went completely down the drain because the first person who broke that oath was Zeus. Surprise, surprise. By producing Thalia. And then obviously Poseidon broke that oath, and then came Percy, and then of course Nico, who's a child of Hades. So, in other words, their children had it really hard, especially Percy. He was the a child who was suspected to be of the prophecy. So was Thalia, and so was Nico. So they've all had individually very, very difficult journeys. And I think, in other words, Annabeth was sort of saying like, she's sort of hoping that Piper never feels that sort of pressure. But of course, Rick has other plans. Um, Piper runs into Rachel, who's obviously the new Oracle, and Rachel tells her that something bad is about to happen. And Rachel, basically, from her body, a scary voice comes out begging Piper to free her. And let's just say Piper doesn't take it very well and she passes out. And that's how the chapter ends. Chapter 5 is Leo's perspective. So Leo finds out about this dragon. Um, he's been basically educated by his fellow cabin members, you could say, and he also finds out about the death of the last head counselor of the Hephaestus cabin. Rest in peace, Beckendorf. Charles, honestly, Charlie was the cutest guy ever. Like, he was so nice, and I really hope that his soul is resting in peace in Elysium. But honestly, like, his story, the sacrifice that he made to stop this Titan army is one thing that I'll never forget. And I know how difficult his death was, not only for Selena but also for Percy. And his sacrifice worked, and now I'm guessing the entire cabin just remembers him as a hero, and so do I. I thought that there was no other better side character that Rick could have written aside from Beckendorf. So I'm really proud to have been one of the people to experience his sacrifice because he was amazing. Leo sees a vision of his auntie Callida, and Will thinks that the mist is just messing with his head. Now, remember Auntie Callida, guys, she's very important, and again, she's a huge contribution as to what Leo is going to become in this series as well. So just remember her, she's important. Um, they eventually go back to Cabin 9, and Leo remembers his mother but dismisses the memory. So, yeah, again, his mother also contributes to who he is. Like, it's the fact that he just dismissed the thought without telling the audience more honestly made me want to know more, because I was just like, oh, like, who's his mother? Like, what could have possibly happened? And you know what? A thought that sort of crossed my head was like, I hope that she is not like Luke's mom, because I know how difficult that was for Luke, and I hope that Leo hadn't been through the same thing. I guess we'll find out soon enough. Jake Mason is, in fact, the new head counselor of the Festus cabin and gives Leo a bunk in cabin 9. Um, and he spends a lot of time learning about Charlie, Beckendorf. Oh, do you know what? He was such a good character. Like, honestly, like, when I think back, like, I'm still haven't finished Last Olympian yet. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I've been reading it for nearly a month and I'm not finished yet. Like I said, guys, life has been really busy and it's been really hard for me to carve out time to read. But yeah, honestly, Charlie was one of the best characters, I'll be honest with you. And like, if anybody deserved to go to Elysium, it was him. And I'm glad that Leo's made the effort to learn about him. And he also learns that the cabin is cursed. Now, again, that's also something important to remember. Like, Rick is constantly putting these details in, like, very, very slyly. And it takes a lot to be able to nitpick them out. But believe me when I say, like, I read between the lines and I get it. And Will offers to show him the forges, basically, because, of course, if he's a son of Hephaestus, he's going to be able to work forges. Chapter 6 is Leo's point of view again, and he sort of asks Will about Beckendorf's death, and Will just sort of explains what happened and that he died a hero, basically. And as they are at the forges, Leo gets the chance to meet the rest of his siblings, who are actually really nice. Like, I don't think there's any annoying people from what I can remember in the Hephaestus cabin. So let's just say Leo got very lucky. And Nisa, who's also a new character who I hadn't heard of before, is also a child of Hephaestus that offers to show him round a little bit more. And he finds out that the bronze dragon is missing. Remember that dragon, guys. It's very important and it's going to come back later on. And he's struggling to understand why they need to kill this dragon. Like, what could possibly be so bad that about this dragon that they need to kill it? I guess we'll find out soon enough. He asks why no one in the Hephaestus cabin is fire resistant. His stories about some children of Hephaestus who have the ability to control fire, but it eventually ended up in a catastrophe. A conch blows and Nissa tells him that it's time for dinner, but he tells her to go ahead. Now, the big reveal at the end of this chapter is that Leo's hands set on fire. He has that firepower that many children of Hephaestus don't. And again, he's a very special person, and Annabeth recognized that from the beginning. They're all special, and we'll find more about how they continue to this contribute to the story as we go along in this book. So the final chapter we're going to be talking about is chapter 7, which is again Jason's point of view, and it opens up with Drew taking him to the big house to meet Chiron. And she's just being her normal nosy self and questioning his relationship with Piper. Obviously she likes Jason, guys. If you haven't worked it out already, I'm gonna just tell you in black and white, she fancies him. And let's just say Jason is just as oblivious as probably Percy is, but we're not even going to go there. She also explains to him why the demigods aren't technically related. Of course, the gods don't have blood, and obviously, the other mortal parent, nobody has the same mortal parent, really. So, yeah, they're only siblings on the godly side, is what I'm trying to say. Chiron appears and takes Jason inside the big house, and Jason tells him that everything that he knows, so basically not very much. And a voice appears from Mr. D's sacred animal, and it's a woman who tells him that she's his patron and she has taken his memories, and if he doesn't free her from her prison, he will never get his memories back, basically. So a big moment there. Anybody want to take any guesses as to who the patron is? I guessed who the patron was, and I wasn't very happy, but let's not even go there right now. She's taken his memories on purpose, guys. Why has she done it? I guess we'll find out soon enough. And she's in a prison, and it looks like Jason is going to be the one to free her. And if he doesn't, he can kiss those memories goodbye. Let's just point it like that. And the chapter concludes with Annabeth and Rachel bursting into the big house carrying Piper. Rachel thinks that she might have accidentally killed Piper. Oops. And that's where we're going to end it off. So let's sort of wrap this up. So, yeah. Um, so far, like I said, it's been very ominous. Like, it's very mysterious. I didn't really know what was going on. I had 3 4 new characters that I'd never met in my life, and I was just thinking, what is going on? And I was a little disappointed that Percy was gone. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it really did upset me. And I'm so sorry to say that Jason is one of my least favorite characters. I know, I'm sorry. I know Jason gets a lot of unnecessary hate, but like I just don't know what I don't like about him. Like I can't put my finger on it. Maybe as we're talking about these books together, I might be able to work out the reason why I don't like him. But yeah, I'm sorry, Rick. I love you. I genuinely do. But the fact that you made Percy disappear honestly just tipped me off the edge. I was like, no. I was like, you can't do this to me, please. Yeah, I'm a little weird like that, guys. I get upset over those sort of things, but yeah. Um, and like I said, like it was a really interesting opening. Like things definitely feel a lot darker. Like it almost feels like there's a lot at stake. And it just shows that these books have definitely matured with the audience. And I really appreciate I appreciate that because not many writers can do like that. Like like the first 5 Percy Jackson books get dark to a certain extent, but it's only really after Titan's Curse. Like the first 2 books, I wouldn't say that they're light-hearted. There is a lot at stake, but it's not nearly half as dark as Heroes of Olympus is gonna get, basically. So pre-warning, guys, we're in for an absolute ride in each book. Um, And do you know what made me laugh was when I read these books for the first time? Like, I was just as confused as Jason was at the beginning of the book. Like, when I first read it, I was just thinking, I don't know who these people are. Like, I don't know why Rick is trying to confuse me. But then when Annabeth showed up, I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. Um, yeah, I'm I can't wait to share more with you guys. Like, this is just the opening few chapters, so I'm trying not to say too much because I don't want to spoil anything as we're talking about it. But yeah, I really hope that you guys enjoyed me basically giving you a rundown of what's going on in each chapter, commentating on it, making connections from previous books. If you guys have noticed anything that I haven't picked up on, let me know. I'd love to hear it from you guys. Like I said, thank you so much for listening in. I'm so sorry about last week. Time just slipped away, and I hope that you guys can forgive me for that. But yeah, don't forget all episodes of the podcast are available to stream on Spotify and on my YouTube channel. Both are at Aamsuntitledpodcast. DM me on Instagram, email me if you want to. Any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Threads to be the first to know when a new episode goes up. And I hope you have an amazing week, and I'll be speaking to you guys very soon. Mwah! Bye!